Hi, I'm Amy Walls, and I am the Senior Principal of Community Reinvestment for Discover Bank. I've been a member of Philanthropy Delaware for many years and a board member for many years as well. This year, in 2023, I've assumed the role of board chair for the organization. I'm really thrilled for that opportunity. As a member of Philanthropy Delaware, I've had an opportunity to really work with, learn from, and collaborate with other funders. I've learned so much about different topics that I wasn't aware of. I've been able to expand my network. I live in Sussex County. My funding focus is in Kent and Sussex. And so I didn't have a strong network with the funders in Newcastle County. I didn't have a strong network with the foundations and a lot of the other corporations. I was mainly insulated with the banks that I was working with. And so as a member of Philanthropy Delaware, I've had an opportunity to really expand my purview, not in just the number of people I interact with, but the different focus areas that they have. And I've learned so much. I've been able to really evaluate what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, how can I be more efficient, how can I work with other people more effectively, how can I make my dollars stretch a little further, but also what organizations or causes that I just wasn't aware of or didn't realize how much of a need there was in those particular topic areas, particularly in Newcastle County or statewide organizations. So it's been a real benefit to me. Some of the topics that have been particularly interesting to me are those where we go a little bit in depth with government funding. Through the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of government programs have been made available from a state and federal level. We've also had U.S. appropriations. We think about ARPA funding and CARES funding and all of those. And so having an opportunity to do a deep dive in how those programs work, who's making the decisions, what are their focus areas, what are the things that stand up or rise to the top, has been really helpful to me. Because what I'll see is that some of the nonprofit agencies that are approaching us, they might want to use those funds or they're anticipating use of those funds in their budget. And it's really helpful for me to understand whether that's a realistic expectation or not. So that's been really helpful. I've also learned a lot about particular topics. So human trafficking was something that wasn't on my mind before we actually had an educational session on it. And since then, I've gotten a little bit more information about it and try to more fully understand what's happening here in Delaware and what role we could play in addressing that issue. The other topic that I really enjoy is really social impact investing. How do we look at our portfolios differently? It's not just about philanthropy, but it's about the investments that are behind that philanthropy and how can we make that work for us? And whether that's investing in a community development financial institution or making an equity investment in a nonprofit organization, those things I think give us an opportunity to stretch the work that we're doing even further to make a deeper impact.
My name is Renita Dorsey. I am a Senior Vice President, Director of Community Strategy for WSFS Bank. I have been a philanthropic member of Philanthropy Delaware for, I guess, about, oh my goodness, since 2010. The opportunity, I guess, to work with Philanthropy Delaware over these years has helped in terms of my strategic goals. We're mission-driven in the work that we do at WSFS, and it helps me to be able to interact with my peers and to really understand some of their mindset around giving in this community that we're all trying to serve. I believe the opportunities that were given for the educational panels and discussions were really timely. They were always on point with what was happening in the environment we were in. I wasn't able to attend as many as I liked, but I know I attended the DEI ones that were really great, some of the educational ones. I think the value of those sessions was that it was a cross selection of both funders as well as persons in the nonprofit sector who were hearing from each other, and I think that was value to them and to us. As Director of Community Strategy for WSFS Bank, I manage all of our philanthropic giving for our foundation, for our corporate giving, as well as our volunteer program. Personally, in my life over these many years, I've had the opportunity to provide philanthropy in the communities that I lived in. to show those opportunities to my children, to help them to grow up to be persons who want to be givers and who see the need for service to others.
Hi, I'm Todd Veal. I'm the Executive Director of the Laffey McHugh Foundation. I've been a member of the board of Philanthropy Delaware since 2020. Philanthropy Delaware was one of the first organizations I met with when I joined Laffey McHugh in 2019, and it was one of the first organizations I met with. And it's been a great resource because it recognizes the fact that most of the foundations, especially in Delaware, are very lean staff. So we're not subject matter experts in any of the sort of areas that we support. So we might have a knowledge about them, but it's so helpful to have a community of other organizations to work with. So Philanthropy Delaware has served as that kind of convener of those resources. The large capital campaign is one of the most beneficial areas, in part because it gives us collective exposure to some of the bigger projects, which we fully understand is a great resource to those organizations, so that they would otherwise have to make that same presentation 7, 8, 9 times around the state. So to have all of us come together is a wonderful opportunity for them. The part that I enjoy the most is hearing the interactions and the feedback of the other funders, where we each have maybe a slightly different sort of viewpoint of where a project might be, whether it's because of the volume of funding that we might potentially have available for that type of request. But to hear some of the things, both positive and negative, about a presentation is something we wouldn't otherwise be able to do if it's just presented to us.
I'm Deanna Sargent, Vice President of Community Development with SENER. We're a nonprofit organization that provides financing to developers to create affordable housing and community facilities. And we've been a member with Philanthropy Delaware for 4 years. So what has kept us engaged with Philanthropy Delaware as a longtime supporter is the opportunity to be connected to a network of philanthropic organizations, as well as a network of organizations that are working toward driving holistic community development, who also rely on philanthropic organizations. It's very important that we all stay connected because we leverage each other, and we all have to work together to drive collective impact. Our organization has gone before the large campaign panel twice for 2 different initiatives, and just the opportunity to get in front of all of the major philanthropic organizations in Delaware all at once is just a wonderful opportunity, especially if you are really trying to develop those relationships. And I would also add that the feedback that they provide after the campaign panel and the presentation is invaluable to really helping to reassess your strategy, your framework, the feasibility of your project, as well as the overall impact to your project.
My name is Stuart Comstock. I am the president of the Delaware Community Foundation, and we have been connected and involved with Philanthropy Delaware since its inception. Originally, it was housed within the foundation, and some years ago moved off to become the great independent organization it is, and we've been there since the beginning. As a member, I've learned about different ways to collaborate. We have, in the past, one of the really strong partnerships we had was the grants program we built together around COVID, raising $5 million and getting that money out the door and doing a lot of that in partnership. So learned about passions of people in the Philanthropy Delaware network and learning about their knowledge base and how to take advantage of it. I think Philanthropy Delaware's greatest value is bringing philanthropists together to learn and share and build knowledge together, whether that's through the large campaign panels or through the independent sessions. We just learn a lot from each other, and that is great value. We do that every day, and Philanthropy Delaware helps us do it better. I think that we looked at the Philanthropy Delaware sessions topics as helping us go deeper and understand better, because we fund so many different areas. But I can think of 2 sessions in particular. There was a gun violence session over the past year really valuable for a number of people on my team to hear some of the things that are being done in the state to address gun violence. Also, some of the great work about reading and what we need to do to expand reading. We spend a lot of time in there. I've done a lot of thinking about that. But the work around reading and the libraries and schools working together, it was just useful to hear what people are up to.
Leah Williams, Vice President of Brand and Community Engagement for Goodwill of Delaware and Delaware County, and we've been a member of Philanthropy Delaware since 2021. As a nonprofit organization here in Delaware, being a member of Philanthropy Delaware has assisted Goodwill of Delaware and Delaware County in planning for our capital campaign and fundraising initiatives. They've connected us with several fundraising consultants and resources to help us understand the philanthropy landscape here in Delaware, understand what funders are looking for, what types of projects they're funding, and what we might need to prepare in order to be ready to stand before a panel of funders and request support. As a member of Philanthropy Delaware, I've learned so much more about the philanthropy landscape here in Delaware, the types of funding that are available, the ways to prepare for a fundraising ask, and we've also been connected with different fundraising consultants, so we've been able to go through a list and reach out to folks and find out who's the best fit for our organization. When Goodwill of Delaware and Delaware County started thinking about having a capital campaign, it would be our third capital campaign, we knew immediately that we had to be members of Philanthropy Delaware. And that's because not only of the networking opportunities the organization offers, but also the resources they make available to members, such as grant information, how to prepare for a funding ask and a fundraising campaign, and just general resources to make us more informed about the process.
Hi, I'm Sheila Bravo, and I'm President and CEO of DANA, the Delaware Alliance for Nonprofit Advancement. And DANA and Philanthropy Delaware have had a long partnership ever since Philanthropy Delaware was founded over 10 years ago. One of the things that I value about Philanthropy Delaware is they serve as an important partner to help DANA fulfill its mission to help strengthen and advance nonprofits in the Delaware nonprofit sector. As a partner, Philanthropy Delaware has worked with DANA in advocacy, educating our policymakers, as well as helping to inform the foundation leaders around important trends that are happening throughout the state that impact Delaware nonprofits. Philanthropy Delaware and DANA have also partnered in launching our Share Delaware database, which is a customized database that provides information on Delaware nonprofits. Those are actually working in the state, not necessarily registered in the state. I've also had a chance to participate with Philanthropy Delaware in some of their community practice. I really value hearing not only from the nonprofits in the issue areas, but how the philanthropy community is really thinking about their philanthropic focus together. And correspondingly, Philanthropy Delaware has participated in DANA events, helping to educate our members around philanthropy and things that they need to consider when reaching out to foundations here in Delaware. I think one thing that is strategically important for the nonprofit sector is that Delaware nonprofits and philanthropy work together to collectively address the challenges that we have in our state. And that's one thing that Philanthropy Delaware has worked with DANA to convene both nonprofit leaders and philanthropy to have some of those discussions to talk what might be needed. How do we increase the funding resources in our state so that we can successfully move the needle in those areas? The way I would put it is that nonprofits only receive a portion of their funding from those that they serve, right, their customers. And so they rely on philanthropic dollars to help fill in the gaps. And so community engagement, helping to educate donors on the issues and things that they need is really vital. And so for me, to be able to have conversations directly with foundation leaders, to share with them what they might want to hear, but more importantly, it allows us to listen on what are the concerns that they have, the questions they have, so that we're able to bring that back to our members who are the nonprofits in the state to help them better be prepared to communicate with their funding partners.